How's it going, guys? I want to make a video real quick on my Vaporshark DNA 30 that I got. I was looking to get the RDNA, but they were a little difficult to find. I couldn't find any in stock, and I didn't feel like waiting on the back order list because I wasn't real sure how long they were going to take and everything else. I did want it because it had a bigger battery life and stuff like that, but I got to thinking about it. I was like, you know what? I think I can make a regular DNA 30 work. You know, it's got a smaller battery, but it'll be all right. So what I did was I had some local shops in my area, and I called and asked them if they had it, and one of them did. So I went to the store, picked one up, and brought it home, and immediately started enjoying using the DNA 30. It's the first time I ever used a DNA 30. You know, I've had Vamos, and I've had SVDs, I've had all that stuff. But this is completely different. It's definitely replaced everything that I own except for my mechanical that I use every now and then. But let's talk about the Vaporshark, some of the things I went through dealing with it, some of the issues I've had with it, what I like about it, what I don't like about it, all that good stuff. I will show you real quick how it works. Sorry, I didn't mean to take everything off of it. I don't know where I'm at tonight, man. I'm just not really focused, I suppose. I've had a lot of stuff going on. So right now I've got a 2.2 ohm K-Fun on it, and I'm running at about 12.5 watts. Even at 12.5 watts, still working really well. I've done several different builds in the K-Fun. I've used it for probably 6 months, and I mean, I've used it like crazy. It's pretty much the only thing I've ever used. I will go anywhere from 10, 11 watts sometimes, all the way up to 18 watts on a K-Fun. Just depends on what I've got inside wicking it, what kind of coil I've got in there, and all that good stuff. And I'll talk about that when I make my K-Fun video. But at about 12.5 watts, it's actually kicking fairly well. I'll go ahead and turn it up to about 15 real fast. I don't really want to go much over that with the build that I've got in there right now. I think it chugs pretty good vapor for a K-Fun, but let's get down up close and we'll go over the Vaporshark DNA 30, what I like about it and what I don't, and what happened with it, all right? Hey guys, before I actually go down and show you how the Vaporshark works and the features and stuff like that, I wanted to tell you a quick little story. Sorry, this notifications. I'm actually using my phone. But I wanted to tell you what had happened with Vaporshark and the DNA 30 that I have and what they did and all this other stuff. So basically, I have a DNA 30 device, and it has an internal built-in battery, so you have to use the USB port to charge it. Okay, what happened was I had it for about 3 weeks. I had charged it either on my computer, or I had used a cigarette plug-in in my tow truck. Now, what I did not know, and I had heard a few people talk about it before, didn't really catch on to it or anything like that, I just slipped my mind, is the USB charging port is rated for 1/2 an amp, which is very low. And unless you have an old phone, most likely any brick that you buy nowadays or cigarette lighter plug-in or anything that you get nowadays is going to be either 1 amp or higher. So after 3 weeks, 3 weeks I charged it with whatever I had. You know, it was a 1 amp charger in the truck and then whatever my computer put out. Never had a problem until I charged it all the way one night. And it worked, and then I killed the battery, plugged it in, wouldn't charge. So what I had figured out is I had burnt out the USB port. So I called one of the Vaporshark, I guess it was a brick and mortar store, or whatever they have down there. It definitely was not customer service, I know that for a fact. Got a hold of the wrong people, and I talked to them, and basically a lady on the phone chewed me out and told me that there was nothing they were going to do about it because I bought it from a different store. I didn't actually go down to Florida and buy it from them and all this other stuff. And she told me, she's like, well, you're just going to have to go out and buy an Ego, rip it apart, and then put that battery in this. I was like, well, I know that's not the problem because there's nothing wrong with the battery. I said, it's the USB port. I said, it's burned out. I said, I know it is. I mean, if I had the tools to fix it, I would fix it. But since I've had it for 3 weeks, you should fix it. Well, she's like, well, I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do. And she hung up. So I called the store I bought it from, and they said, give us a few minutes, we'll figure something out. They got a hold of customer service. Customer service said, hey, we'll send you a label, send it in, fix it, we'll fix it and send it back. There was no problems whatsoever. They just, as soon as you said, hey, my USB port quit working, boom, they said, we got it, no problem. So I went back to their store, and the owner had another one on the shelf, and they said, hey, look, you can use this one. We'll take yours, send it in, get it fixed, and we'll call you when it comes back. That way you're not left without a vape. I thought that was pretty nice of them. I said, hey, here's what I'll do. I said, give me the one you got, because I know it's either new-ish or it's not very old. I said, give me that one, and then when you get my other one in, just keep it. I said, that way we don't have to worry about this anymore. And they said, hey, that's cool too. So that's what we did. Sorry, I wanted a quick vape. I love this device. It's awesome. But that's what we did. And then I went home with this other one that I had, and I wasn't paying attention. I got it on a night call, and it was dark outside, and I had 2 chargers in my truck. I had one that was a 0.5 amp, and I had one that was a 1 amp. Okay? Grabbed the wrong one. I plugged in the 1 amp back into the DNA 30. I know, right? I should have known better. Well, it was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. I wasn't paying attention. I was busy working and all that other stuff. So, and it was charging just fine. Like, there was nothing wrong with it. When I got back, I unplugged it, and there's a little light on the front, right there above the USB port, that little hole you see. That light goes from red while it's charging to green when it's fully charged. All right, I unplugged the charger to it, and it stayed red. It was still on, still glowing. I was like, crap, there's something wrong with this one now, okay? So I, tried to vape it. It still worked. It worked fine. Well, the battery was fully charged again. So I was like, I wonder if I can drain this at least halfway and then plug it up and see if it's still going to charge with, the right charger. Drain the battery, wouldn't charge, wouldn't do anything. It was dead as a doornail. I mean, it was gone. So I was like, great. I just burned out another one and no one's going to help me. So I called the customer service at Vaporshark. I said, hey, I've had this one. I just got it and I burned it out. And they're like, no big deal. I said, well, we'll send you a prepaid shipping label, put it in a box, send it back to us, leave a little bit of information in there, what happened, and you're good. So I got the shipping label and everything, and I put in there and said, hey, look, I used it too powerful of a charger. It was an accident. I didn't mean to. So about a week later, I hadn't heard or seen anything from them, and they still had my Vaporshark. So I called them. I said, hey, I was just wanting to see what was going on. And they said, well, we have your product. And they said, it's usually, week and a half to 2 week turnaround. They said, give us a call on, I think I called them on a Wednesday, and they said, hey, call us next Monday or next Wednesday. So I said, give us one more week and we'll see what's going on. I said, okay, no problem. That's cool. Appreciate it. I was just wondering what was going on. Well, it was in my mailbox Monday, so I got it back that fast. And the guy left a note in the box, said, hey, look, I upgraded your USB charger. You now have a stronger port. It's not 0.5 amp anymore. I don't know what it is, to be honest with you. From what I understand, I think it was like 0.8 amps or maybe even a 1 amp. But I've been charging it with my Xbox and haven't had a problem with it whatsoever. And I've been doing it for probably 2 or 3 weeks now. So it's been doing pretty good. And then he also upgraded the battery. The battery originally was a 1200 milliamp hour battery. It comes out of an Ego. So he said, I put a 1300 milliamp hour battery in it. I mean, it's a little bit bigger, a little bit nicer. I was not expecting that at all. But I mean, that was a nice little upgrade for him, just for me sending it in and all that stuff. And they fixed it all for free, sent it all back and everything. And haven't had a problem with it since. I mean, they're a solid product. They have pretty good customer service, in my opinion, if you get the right people. I mean, you have to get a hold of customer service. I didn't realize there was 2 or 3 different numbers for them. That was my fault. But all in all, they did a good job, and I'm really happy with them. And, I've been very well pleased with the actual product ever since. So next thing I'm going to do is we'll switch cameras, we'll go down low, and I will show you the features of it, what it looks like, and just, you know, thumbs up, thumbs down, that kind of stuff. All right. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you. Here we are, up close and personal. Let me go and take the K-Fun off here, and I will start from the top and work my way down. All right, as you can see up here, this is your 510 connector, and it does have built-in air slots. The two on this side don't seem to go all the way across, but it's going to be really hard to see if I can get it to focus. But you can see the lip here, how it's rounded. They do go all the way across on the top of it. So, I mean, it still functions just like it should. It just doesn't look like it goes all the way across. But that lip is rounded, and you can still get plenty of airflow. And, of course, you got two more over here. Now, you know, it's good if you're going to use your Pro tanks or any bottom-fed air type device, which I really don't use, so I don't see too much need for these. And they're covered up pretty well with anything, you know, any other device. Server purpose, they don't look bad, and they're not in the way. So that's a thumbs up. Now, what I really want to show you is the little center, the 510 connector, is spring-loaded. So everything you put on there is going to flush mount. It's going to sit completely flush. It's going to look good, which I'm really happy about. I think every device, see there's no gap. This thing is so small that anything that's 22 millimeter or larger is going to hang off on all the sides. That's just the way it is because it's so small, which, I mean, that doesn't bother me whatsoever. I mean, that's, if you're picky about it, I mean, I understand, but that doesn't bother me at all. But I think every device should come with a 510 connector similar to this or close to it. Now, being as small as it is, I'm glad they didn't put the Ego adapter on it, because that would either make it sit up, you know, like this high and make it sit up another inch or so like that, or if they recessed it and make the device longer. I can't remember what the device was, but there was one I just watched not too long ago that had that built in, and you could tell that it was longer. Pretty much the exact same size, but it was, you know, it was a good inch longer than the other one, and they had it built into the device, which was a great way to hide it. But with this one not being on there, it doesn't bother me too much. If I need it too much, I can get a simple Ego to 510 adapter and put it on the top, and I'll be completely fine with it. And it'll hide underneath any clear miser you have. But pretty much all I ever use is my K-Funs and drippers every now and then. That's about it. All right, going down the sides. This one is absolutely plain, has no logo, has a cutout. I guess if you wanted to cut out some vinyl or something like that, you could definitely put that in there and give it some, you know, detail, or put your own touch on it, make it yours, you know. On the back side, actually we'll go to this side real quick. There's absolutely nothing on this side except for the two Allen head screws that hold the plate on. I don't have anything to take this off. I forgot to bring my Allen keys with me. But I'll tell you what's underneath of it. If you take these two off, the panel will pop off. This button right here will fall out most likely. And if you're not careful, you'll lose it. But if you look at it, see where the fire button is. On the inside there is the chip. The DNA chip runs across the top. There is a spot where the button pushes on a rubber, like a rubber type stopper deal. And it'll push down and hit the DNA board. So it's not metal on metal contact or anything like that. There's a little soft rubbery type squishy piece in there, silicone or something like that that protects the board. Then on this side, these two little pieces will actually make contact with the board, but they are plastic, so it doesn't do anything bad. And then as the board runs across the screen, there's a little ribbon cable that will bend, and the screen will fit this way, and then the screen will be on the bottom. Okay. And then on this side, you will see the LiPo pack cell, which is a cylinder-styled cell. It looks like a 14650 or something similar to that. It basically looks like, if you ever busted open an Ego and seen the battery in there, that's exactly what's in here. It is pretty much just an Ego battery that's in this device. Okay. Now we'll look at the back side real quick. You got your DNA logo. This is a DNA 30 device. I did want to get an RDNA so I'd have the bigger battery option, but they're, like I said before, they're kind of a pain in the ass to find, and almost impossible unless you wanted to wait on the back order list. and I wasn't really into that, so I just went ahead and picked up this one. And the battery is, you know, half the size of what it could be compared to the RDNA, but I can still get pretty much all day, if not most of a day out of it. So it's not too bad. Then you got your Vaporshark logo. The etching on it it's etched in, but it's kind of hard to tell how deep it is. I mean, it's really shallow, and it feels almost like a decal, or like it's almost sandblasted on there. But I've had this for a couple months, and I haven't noticed any scratching of the actual logos. They might be a little dingy, but I mean, I'm sure you could clean that up. There are a few nicks on it, you can tell from where I've used it, and I've dropped it a few times. That kind of stuff. Normal wear and tear doesn't bother me too bad. If that is something, they do sell skins that go around the entire thing, and I think they're like $8 or $9, something like that. They're not too bad. But they're big old silicone sleeves that leave your port open, and then they have silicone button covers that are on them too. Then you have your USB charging light. This right here will go from red when it's charging and green when it's fully charged. And then you have your USB port, which I don't know what they upgraded it to. I'm wanting to say it's either like 0.8 amps or even 1 amp. I wouldn't go anywhere over 1 amp. You might even fry that. But I've been using my Xbox and haven't had any issues charging this or anything else. Sorry about the notification there. I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, you got your fire button. One thing that did happen is you can see this kind of bluish ring that goes around it. If I push the fire button, you can tell that nothing happens. That used to light up like a bluish white color, and when I sent it in and got it back, it quit lighting up. But it really doesn't bother me too bad. I mean, it's not a horrible, you know, loss or anything like that. It's almost, I mean, my thumbs are so big anyway, I would cover up the light, but I don't mind. I mean, I don't really care much for light glowing anyway, so it doesn't bother me. Then you got your negative and your positive buttons to change wattage. And the buttons on it, this one, and you can hear it's pretty clicky, pretty responsive. Now these, they don't have pretty much any sound to them. I mean, you can barely hear them in person, so I'm sure you can't hear it over the camera. But they're not loud, but they are, you can feel it click when they do click. You can kind of feel it. They do wobble a little bit, but it's not too bad of a rattle sound or anything. I mean, the buttons aren't bad. The fire button definitely is nice. I don't mind it at all. It's pretty soft. Does click really well, and I enjoy using it. And then on the bottom, kind of pager style, you know, like they all say, you got the pager style. There is a screen down here, and that is your DNA chip right there, or the actual screen to the chip. There is a small lip that runs around the screen to protect it for when you set it down. Mine's a little, you can see it's kind of dirty and scuffed up and everything, but you know, it's from being in the pocket and all that stuff. But I mean, it doesn't bother me too bad. It's not bad. Click it 5 times to lock and unlock the screen. Like right now, it is unlocked. I don't have anything attached to it. Let's go ahead and attach a device on here so I can show you how this works. Put my old K-Fun on there. Alright, when this focuses, I'll show it to you. My camera has had pretty crud focus on this video so far. It's starting to focus. Alright, if you click the button 5 times, see if I can't bring this up and show it to you. Click the button 5 times, it will go into locked mode, and it will not fire. It's almost like the 5-click on and off feature of, you know, any other style battery. Click it 5 times to bring it back, and it will fire. Now what you can see on the screen right now is on the far left you see a battery logo that'll tell you how much charge you have remaining. That battery logo will change if you change the resistance. So like if I drop my K-Fun and put on, you know, like my dripper or something, so my dripper is say like 1.5 ohms or something like that, it'll actually, that battery logo, if you try to fire, it will drop. It'll show you relative, if you change the atomizer on it, it'll show you how much battery life you have for that atomizer. So if I go back to the K-Fun, you'll see the battery bar actually raise a little bit because it'll tell you what's relative to what you're firing. Kind of a cool feature, I think. It's pretty neat. Now if this will focus, then you have your resistance, which I have a 2.2 ohm resisted atomizer on there. It was my K-Fun. And then I have it set to 12.5 watts. Now, what you'll see underneath the ohms is your voltage. See how it says 5.4? That is how many watts or how many volts it takes to reach my selected output of wattage. So if I raise or lower that, my voltage will raise or drop as well. And it pretty much tells you how many volts you would need to get that kind of wattage. Cool thing about that is if I take my K-Fun off and say I put it on Pro Vary or even just a device that runs straight off of voltage, I know what voltage to set it to get the kind of vape that I like. Kind of cool without needing a calculator and all that stuff, or even, I mean, I just go by taste. I mean, I'll run this anywhere from 11, 12 watts sometimes all the way up to 18 or even 20 sometimes. Just depends on what I have in it, what kind of wick and all that good stuff, which I'll go over when I do my K-Fun video. Let's see the extra features of the DNA device, or the actual chip. Like I said, you click it 5 times, you'll lock it. Now, while it's locked, if you hold the negative button and the fire button at the same time, if we can focus up a bit, maybe not. It's like we're not going to get any focus. Well, of course, my camera does not want to cooperate today. All right, if you hold both of those at the same time, it will go from normal mode into stealth mode. And that is if you hold the fire and the negative button at the same time. Now, stealth mode, what it does is when you turn it back on, you click it 5 times. It'll unlock. The screen will stay blacked out. It'll have nothing on it. So you won't have anything show up, and it'll stay dark. Now, the thing about it is right now, if you have it in stealth mode and you do not lock the wattage, which I'll show you in a little bit, if you don't lock the wattage, say, remember I had it, what, 12.5? Say if I hold this button down for a little bit, or I just click it a bunch of times, that should make enough of a difference. Okay, now watch. You got to lock it again to turn it off, and then you hold these buttons again. We'll go from stealth back into normal. Now we're back in normal mode. I'll unlock the screen, and we're at 14.8. So you can't adjust the wattage while you're in stealth mode if you don't lock your wattage. Okay, so keep that in mind. All right, the next thing I'm going to show you is you lock it. Now if you do the positive and the fire button at the same time while it's locked, if I can get my screen to clear up. I'm very sorry about the focus. I don't have the best camera in the world. We're working on that. If you hold both of those, you will go from left mode into right mode, and what that does is basically flip the screen. See? Flips the screen so everything is now upside down. It depends on if you hold it in your left or right hand. In theory, I think if you're, like, say if you're right-handed, I mean, to me it doesn't really matter. I mean, if you're in your right hand, it's in right mode, I guess. If you're in your left hand, it's left mode. I guess unless you use it like this, you know, and then it would be backwards. You'd have to be in left-handed mode to be in a right-handed setup. But either way, I mean, it's whatever works for you, whatever you like. Lock it back. And then if you hold them down again, positive and fire button, it will go from, well, I'm not pushing, sorry. I'm not even pushing the up button. It's not even locked right now. You got to lock it. Push the positive button and the fire button. Go from right mode back into left mode. You got to hold them down for a while. It takes a little bit. Now, while it's locked, you can also hold down your 2 wattage selection buttons, your positive and negative. If you hold them both down, it should lock your wattage. Power locked, hold up and down. Now, when you unlock the device, you cannot change your wattage. Okay? So then, when it's locked like this, you know, you can't change your wattage. Now you can go into stealth mode and you don't have to worry about changing your wattage. So that's just something I want to let you know, that if you don't have your wattage locked and you go into stealth mode, you can change all kinds of stuff and you'll never even know it. See what's going on here. It's kind of hard to push both of these at the same time, especially on camera because I'm trying to do it one-handed. But even with two hands, it's kind of a pain because you got to push them like right at the same time. There we go. Wait for it to unlock. Well, must not have done something right. It's kind of, like I said, it's kind of hard to do with one hand. It's not as bad with two hands. There we go. It'll go back to lock clicked 5 times when it's unlocked. If that makes any sense. I know there's a lot of lock and unlocks in this video. But I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. When you get used to it, it's pretty easy. Now, when you get it, if you do get one of these on the box, on the side of the box, it'll actually say how to do all of these. You'll have like a little tiny reference guide on the side of the box. It's like 3 or 4 lines, and that's it. It's pretty simple, pretty good deal. Go and put my K-Fun back on here. And go back up top and say a couple more things, wrap this video up, and I'll let you guys out here. Try not to make super long videos. I mean, I cannot do an hour video because I don't have test boxes and all that good stuff. But just for a little bit of product knowledge or just seeing how a device is, my thoughts on it kind of stuff. So I'll see you guys back up top. We'll talk, have a couple vapes, and that we'll wrap it up. All right, guys, we're back up. I mean, all in all, it's a great device. It does what it's supposed to do. The DNA chip, this is a 30. I've never got to use a DNA 20 or even the newest, the DNA 40 that's in the Vaporshark DNA. I haven't got to use any of those yet, but I am completely satisfied with a 30-watt device, especially for for a K-Fun, that's probably too much. But I mean, I can put a dripper on it. I mean, I've got the Stellaire. It's got a 1.4 ohm coil or dual coil in it, and it's I can run it at 30 watts. I mean, I might only get an hour or two of vape time, to be honest with you. But I mean, you can run a dripper and still hit pretty good clouds, pretty good vapor production, all that good stuff. But for a K-Fun or your tanks, you know, I've had a Nautilus on it, Nautilus Mini. I really enjoyed everything that I've put on it. It's got a nice, smooth, flat-lined vape. You know, it's got definitely plenty of power for most of, you know, whatever you're going to put on there. It's a good device. It's solid, rock solid. I've dropped it several times. Now, I will let you know what I have. I've read several times about the type of batteries that are in these. If you drop it and the battery gets hit hard enough, it can damage the cells on the inside of the battery. I mean, you don't want to be throwing your stuff around anyway, but that's just a piece of advice that I've read and found out. Yeah, let's have some vapes, and I'll show you what it'll do with a K-Fun, and then I'll put my Stellaire on there and show you what it does too, okay? This K-Fun is at 2.2 ohms, and I'm running it at 12.5 watts, and it is putting out 5.4 volts. So as you can see, even at 12.5 watts, it does a pretty good job of, you know, it's plenty of power, in my opinion. I'm going to go up to 15 watts. And it's starting to get a little bit warmer. It just depends on what kind of build I have in my K-Fun, what kind of wattage I run it at. I mean, I have where I'll run higher wattages on lower ohms for some reason. It's just the way I like it. And it also depends on my wicking material. I've been doing some experiments with Japanese cotton, organic cotton balls, which I've used for forever. And then Rylon. Like right now I have Rylon in it. I notice it stays warmer for some reason. I don't need as much wattage. And I don't really care a whole lot for Rylon. There is a slight taste to it, as far as I can tell. It's just, I mean, it's just slight. It barely changes anything. But I don't understand, but it doesn't seem to wick as fast as my Japanese cotton or my organic cotton. I don't know if that's just in my head or what, but I haven't got it to wick quite as good. Or maybe it's just the way I build it or something like that. But like I said, hardly almost all I ever use is my K-Fun. And it's still, I'd rather just use organic cotton balls, to be honest with you. I don't have to go out and look for them. I know where they're at, and I've still got, I mean, I've had them for 6 months, and I've still got half the bag left. And, or I've probably even had them longer than that, but still, I think they work really well. And, I mean, to me, as long as I got a good vape, I don't care what I put in there. I don't need, I don't need bacon cotton. I don't need organic cotton, or Japanese or anything like that. Regular cotton works. Some people still use Echo wool in them and stuff like that. It's just whatever you like. Whatever you want to use, it's what you can use. So let me go ahead and put the Stellaire on here. Make sure I got some juice in here real quick. And I'll show you what it'll do at 30 watts. Sorry, I got a squeaky chair. I'm going to juice up just a little bit. Now, when I do my Stellaire video, I'll tell you a couple things about it, but you can very, very easily overjuice a Stellaire, and they leak like crazy. All right, let's go ahead and pump this up to 30 watts. See if I can't get enough juice to show you what it does. Battery's starting to get a little low, and I wanted to go ahead and shoot this before the battery died. So I got it says 1.5 ohm coil, and it's running at 6.7 volts, 30 watts. Still chucks. Got just ate some juice. And it just killed the battery in those 2 hits, and it said it had half a battery left. But that's just because I switched. Like I said, I switched from my K-Fun over to this, and it'll change the battery style, the battery life, and it'll tell you what's left. And it's dead. I don't even have enough juice to push it that hard. But it gives you an idea of what, I mean, you can use drippers. You can still get clouds out of it. It's plenty of power, I think. I would like to see what a DNA 40 could do. I'd say that'd probably be pretty slick. But to me, I don't need anything over 30 watts. I mean, like you've seen, I can still run my K-Funs, and I can run my Stellaire and still have a good vape either way. But other than that, that's pretty much all I got left for this video. I think it's a good product. I would recommend it if you want a really good regulated device. You don't need, 50 to 100, 150, 200 watts. If you don't need power like that, if you're happy with a nice, calm, smooth, vape with either K-Fun, you can even run your drippers like I showed you. I would recommend DNA 30. They work good. They do what they're supposed to do. They're solid devices. You just got to find the right box, whatever box you want to put it in. I like the Vaporshark. I mean, there's a million DNA 30s out there. Whatever style you like, the DNA 30 chip is a good chip. All right. Thanks for watching. Appreciate all the support you guys have given me. I have a few more things in the works, and I'll have those up sooner or later. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for watching my videos, and I appreciate all your support. It means a lot to me. Thank you, guys. You have a good day.